Entrepreneurs aren't born, they're brewed. You are now listening to the Entrepreneur Podcast with your host, Adam McChesney. Let's grow!
Welcome to the Entrepreneur Podcast. I am your host, Adam McChesney, and I want to thank you for being here today. Thank you to Half Coast Studios for all they do in getting this podcast produced and distributed, along with sponsoring the show. If you're looking to start your podcast or take your current one to the next level, then you need to come check out what they have going on here. Contact them today for a free consultation. And if you're listening, please be sure to subscribe to the show and leave us a 5-star review on Apple and Spotify. We would love for you to share this on social media by tagging me and our guests. And this way we can get this incredible content out to more people. Today, we have another great episode lined up for you today. It's our first in-person episode here in the new year. I always love these in-person episodes. As I mentioned before, I think it creates just an overall much different aspects. So I'm super excited today. My guest and I have known each other for a little over a year at this point. We connected actually through my financial advisor, and since he has become a client of ours. He's got an incredible business and crushes it on social media, specifically TikTok. We were talking before the episode, so I'm excited to dive into that. He's TikTok famous in my mind. He's also a runner. I've seen him do some crazy stuff as far as running goes, cold plunges, which I'm also a huge fan of. My guest today is Holden Stanfill. He is the owner of Stanfill Chiropractic, an evidence-based chiropractic therapy office here in Ellisville, Missouri. Holden, welcome to the show.
Wow, what an intro.
Dude, I pride myself in those intros. I do some research. I take what I know about you. I tie in our relationship.
Chef's kiss on that one, man.
Yeah, that's good, man.
I appreciate it, Adam. Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I'm excited to be here. Really excited to dive into all this fun stuff. So.
Yeah, man. I'm excited to have you on the podcast. So for our guests, we like to take our entrepreneurs that we bring on as guests and walk them through the entrepreneur story. So we'll kind of talk a little bit at the beginning here about the history. So obviously with every beer, there's a history and reason behind why it's getting brewed. So Holden, give us a little bit of information on who you are, what you do, and how you got here today.
Yeah. Okay. So my name's Holden Stanfill. I'm originally from West Tennessee, like Memphis area, West Tennessee. Grew up there, went to high school in McKenzie, Tennessee, small town, like 6,000 people. Not many people know about it. And then I went to undergrad at UT Martin, again, out in West Tennessee. And what brought me to St. Louis, where we're at now, is a chiropractic school. So my journey kind of that point, my brother actually had cancer when I was a kid. So he passed away when I was 13. And that really pushed me to want to do something in the health professions. So up to that point, I was thinking like physical therapy, med school, engineering. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but one thing he would always talk about is how much he had like aches and pains, things that they didn't really have answers for as far as his oncology team. So he's going through a lot of radiation, chemo, and he just wanted a massage. He'd just tell him like, hey, can I have a massage? And it was contraindicated because he was at a high risk for blood clots because of some of the medications he was on. And so I thought, there's got to be like something out here that we can do to help him. It's not going to cure him. It's not going to fix anything that he has going on, but quality of life may be a lot better for him. And my cousin at the time was dating this guy that was going to Logan here in St. Louis. And he was like, hey, man, why don't you check out chiropractic? And I didn't even know what that word was at the time. I was so young. And so I started researching it. Found like the YouTube crack videos, kind of like what I'm doing now, full circle moment, Yeah. And I was like, this seems interesting. I didn't really know what it was. And so one thing led to another, and the rest is kind of history. My brother ended up passing away when he was 19, and I decided that it was something that I wanted to go into. And so in a way, I kind of feel like this is me living for the both of us. I try to do everything through the both of us. So I was really young, and we were best friends. He was like, we were really close. And so, I try to make him proud. And I feel like this is something he'd really be happy for me for doing. And so, another thing I wanted to like mention in there too is when I was younger, I feel like I had to go through a lot of adversity to kind of get to this point. And I was thinking about it on the way here, like, why did I want to open a business? Why did I want to go into chiropractic specifically? And when I was growing up, my dad, he had a landscaping business. So I spent a lot of time like cutting yards, putting in, what are they called? Retaining walls, like doing flower beds, that type of stuff, right? Like a lot of hard manual labor stuff. And I grew up with the respect for hard work, but the difference there is like my dad let things fizzle out. He didn't have that business mindset or that drive to really keep things going. And I think I saw that as a young kid, and it kind of scared me because we lost a lot. Like when I was young, we had, like, I'm not saying that I didn't have everything I needed, but we were at a pretty good point. And as I kind of went through my childhood, we kind of fell off, and it scared me to see that we didn't have any stability. And so I decided that I wasn't going to let that happen. And so from then on out, I just had this drive, like through school. I was definitely not like the number one in my class or anything like that, but I always worked really hard throughout high school to get good grades. Same thing with college, and had a lot of good people around me that helped me for sure get to that point. And I took that directly into the business. Do you want me to go ahead and like go into that a little bit too? Kind of.
Yeah. I mean, before that, I just wanted to say that one of the reasons why I love doing the podcast is you and I have known each other for a while. We've connected. Actually, the first time we're meeting today is physically in person today for the first time. But, you see all this stuff on social media. You see, everything that you have going on. But to be able to learn more about you as an entrepreneur and understand that relationship with your brother, which, I mean, just phenomenal that you were able to take that type of situation and really, as you mentioned, kind of create something that is a legacy and is living for the both of you, which is, man, I kudos to you, man. That's a very amazing story. And then tie that with what you were able to see and learn from growing up. And that's why I created this podcast, is because even if we end in the same position in terms of running a business, and there's two chiropractors that are out there that have the same type of business, the way that you guys got there is completely different. There's 100%. Different whys. There's different ways that you got to success, whatever that is measured as. So I just wanted to say kudos to you, but that's amazing. But yeah, give us a little bit more information about your practice, some of the amazing stuff that you guys have going on.
Yeah. We're getting deep here. So
I love it.
So the whole story behind the practice and kind of how that started is a really interesting story too. So when I was going through school, I would say like 50% of chiropractors go into private practice, and then 50% associate, meaning they go work for another chiropractor, right? So that is the big question when you get into school. Like, you got all these tests. It's so much more intense than I think most people understand, that it's much more in line with what physical therapists and medical doctors go through. It's not, we're not just cracking and like, that's all we learn. Like, it's in a very intensive 3.5 years, very stressful. I dealt with a lot of anxiety through school. It was very tough for me. But with that being said, you're not only worried about like passing these classes, you're also in the back of your mind thinking about what is there for me after I graduate, like what's down the road. Yeah. And so, that was in the back of my mind. I've got to pass all these classes, then pass my board examinations to, have my license. And then I've got to figure out how am I going to pay off these loans? What am I going to do? And I think I thought about that probably more than my classmates did. It really was something that I wanted to figure out. So when I started getting close to graduation, I was definitely like gears turning, trying to figure out what to do. I landed a really good internship that was pretty much my dream internship. When I was in my last year at Logan, I was able to get out of the school clinic a little bit early and go into a private practice. And that was in Kirkwood here in St. Louis. Yep. And it was a clinic that did adjustments and the typical chiropractic stuff, but they had just added in personal training. And the chiropractor had taught our rehabilitation classes at Logan. So I got a ton of rehab background that put me in a very competitive position with a lot of physical therapists, but also other chiropractors that were well-versed in the rehab community. So most chiropractors have minimal rehab knowledge. It's something that everybody should have, though. I mean, it's very important. So with going through that, I picked up all this knowledge, and I was like, I feel like I'm in a really good place with what I have to offer my patients. So I talked to the doc that I was interning for, and I was trying really hard to work with him or for him at his office because I thought this is the place that I need to be. Mm-hmm. He's teaching me all these things. I've got so much more to learn. Like, I love this office. I think this is a good place for me. He had never had an associate before. So he didn't know how to come into the negotiations, and I certainly didn't know how to come into the negotiation either. I was pushing for it, but he didn't necessarily know if he was in a place to bring on an associate yet. So, we butted heads a little bit over it, and it kind of like, we kind of had a falling out over it. And I hated that because I really admired him and felt like I had so much more to learn from him, but it just didn't work out. And that puts us about 3 weeks before graduation.
Oh, wow.
So,
crunch time.
Yeah. So in the middle of that, let me give a little bit more backstory. I have a 4-year-old daughter named Scarlett. Hi, Scarlett. And she's like the world to me. Yep. And I was engaged to Scarlett's mom at the time. Things didn't work out there either. So I was going through a lot right there at graduation. And I was at a really low point in my life, and I didn't know what I was going to do or what the future held for me. And so I was at a crossroads for sure. I was trying to figure out, am I going to take the easy road and just kind of find a job and coast and just take whatever salary I can find at some other clinic or some chain? Or am I just going to jump headfirst into some deep waters and just try to figure out how to swim? And I thought about it a lot, and I decided that this is the time to try it. And if I fail, there's always going to be that safe job out there that I can find, but this is the time. Like, I need to do it now. I don't need to wait. And I've got my daughter that needs me to provide for her. And so I was like, all right, we're just going to do it. So, things didn't work out at the internship. I'm getting ready for graduation. I started looking through these classifieds ads, like at Logan, at my chiropractic school. They have a person, her name was Dana. She has a whole list of all the chiropractic positions across the country. Yep. Nobody uses her. Nobody uses her at the school. Everybody's trying to find jobs and stuff. I'm like, this lady can literally give you everything. Yeah. I'd made a connection with her, from a work study position that I had. So I knew her really well. And I went to her and I was like, I'm in a pickle right now. I need you to help me out. So she gave me the list, and I just started calling everything that seemed even relatively a good option. Yeah. I landed on this nurse practitioner named Pat Bauer, who's here in St. Louis, and she's phenomenal. She's a huge mentor for me now, and I love that woman. But she has her own practice out in Wildwood, Missouri. She does a lot of holistic care, really good fit for chiropractors. She had a chiropractor that was renting space from her in her building that was moving out to St. Charles, 30 minutes away. She was looking for somebody to take over that space. She liked the co-management with the chiropractor. So I emailed her. I got an email the next day from her, and she's like, let's talk. So I go in to talk to her. The first thing she struck me is this very entrepreneurial older woman, very shocking, just very matter of fact, very to the point. I was just taken back. I was like, well, this woman really knows her stuff. Yeah. And so, she was like, I hate lawyers. I don't like contracts. You come in here and just pay your rent, and we're not going to have any paperwork or anything. And you work hard, you're going to succeed. That's pretty much the conversation with her. Oh, yeah. And I kind of loved that about her. And so I move into the office, and the first week I had no patients. I maybe had one patient. And that was my biggest concern is where are these people going to come from? Mm-hmm. Where am I going to get these patients from? And so she started sending me a couple of patients here and there. And I ended up just slowly building that over time and building confidence and realizing that I could make this happen. Yep. And so, fast forward a year and a half later, it's July of 2022, so about 7 months ago. I become friends with this cosmetic surgeon, Zach Willis, who's also here in St. Louis and is now my work neighbor. We met through Instagram and become friends, and to build another network basically. Oh, yeah. And he's like, hey, I've got this unit next to me. Why don't you move over here? And I'm like, so you roll. I don't think I'm ready to move into a 1,200 square foot office. I'm working out of a single room. I don't have any employees. There's no way that I can do this. And he's like, you know, I think you can do it.
Why not?
Yeah. And so I was like, okay, let me think about it. So I go meet with the landlord, another great person, mentor. Moral of the story, I run into a lot of good people that have pushed me along, and I don't know why that happened or why I've been so lucky to like bump into these good people, but I have found some really good instrumental people that have pushed me in a positive direction, and I just took my gut feeling and it just keeps pushing me in the right direction.
Yep.
And so I meet with the landlord, and he again is somebody that's like very matter of fact, very business oriented. I'm worried that like I'm going to get screwed over by this guy that's going to take advantage of me. Like I've never done a lease or anything.
Yeah.
He's like, this is what it is. Take it or leave it. I go out and like talk with the real estate agent. He's like, we're not going to get anybody else involved. It's you and me. Either take this deal or it's going to be a different deal. So I'm like, okay. So I take it. We go through the build out process with him. I move in Halloween Day on 2022 into this 1,200 square foot office that is more than I ever imagined myself getting to. I couldn't have seen this far ahead from the beginning.
Oh yeah.
And that's when things have still been picking up from them. So we're 3 months into that office now, which takes us to present day. And it's 1,200 square foot office. We've got 3 treatment rooms. One of the rooms is massage therapy. And then I work out of the other 2 rooms. I've got a front desk that's amazing. So Hannah does all of our front end stuff. She's more of like an office manager, basically. She does everything that I can't get my hands on. And then the social media, water bottle. And then the social media ties into everything there. So
yeah.
So I'll pause for a second.
That's awesome, man. No, such a cool story. And I think like what you mentioned is like people have came into your life inadvertently just by happen that end up being the right people that help you and kind of push you along the way. Like I think so many people don't realize that so much happens for a reason. All of this stuff kind of culminated together. And then the other aspect that I think is something entrepreneurs don't necessarily always take into consideration is you said something that was like very, very profound, is that you could have never seen yourself, 7 months ago or whenever it was when the idea really wasn't even an idea, and to see it come to fruition. Because we can do all of the day-to-day stuff, but at the end of the day, we can't necessarily understand where we're going to be 12 months from now. We can plan it out, we can envision it, all these different things, but when we start to do all of the daily things that lead us up to being successful, things happen a lot quicker. And so I think that's really cool that you saw that, you recognize that, and are like, man, there's this opportunity that maybe I never thought I would be ready for or envision, but I'm going to go take it. So I think that's really cool. I would love to dive into the social media stuff. So talk to me about how kind of that started to take off. I know you're huge on TikTok. Like talk about some of that stuff.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's just start when I started social media, basically. So the first platform that I ever posted on, well, really, it was kind of Instagram and TikTok at the same time, but I was doing different things on each one.
Yep.
I was in this young professionals group, and I had come in contact with a girl that basically like ran a social media marketing company. And then I had some other friends in the group, and they all pushed me to get things going a little bit with it. But it's definitely something that I always had in the back of my mind that I wanted to do. Like I'd mentioned to you, even when I was a kid, like I watched the videos. And then through chiropractic school, as a joke, I would pull them up on my iPad in class, and like we would show like the ring dinger videos of like this dude in Texas that does them. Yep. And we would just laugh at it like, this is ridiculous. This is stupid. But it clicks in my head that it's all about like letting people see you and driving engagement. And then like when they come to you for information, you can let them know that it's more than just this. Oh, yeah. This isn't the whole story. Yeah. And people don't see that on TikTok or Instagram. They're like, you're just cracking backs. Yeah. And it's like, I'm doing what's going to drive engagement and get my videos out there to more people so that when they do come see me, I can explain to them that there's education involved. Yeah. There's rehab involved. It's not just, we'll do some adjustments. We're going to have some fun, but we're also going to do the stuff that matters. And that's making sure that you're exercising, making sure that you're doing the right things for your health. And when we get people, you know, the more people that see it, the more people I can help. So that's really like clicked in my head that, okay, if this is what people want to see, I'm going to give it to them.
Yeah.
But this isn't what I'm going to be doing like full time. I'm not going to just be bringing people in here and like quickly cracking them and then getting them out the door. Right.
Yeah.
So I wanted to preface with that a little bit.
No, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I mean, what you're talking about is essentially what social media is, right? So it's like, it's a highlight reel for people to be able to see it. You have the hook.
It's not reality.
The crack. And then there's so much more that goes into it, but you have to get eyeballs on the content in order to explain and educate and tell people what's actually going on.
100%. Yeah. So anyway, the young professional groups that I was in, I started working with the girl that ran this company. And that's when we just barely, like we were just starting. So we didn't even post adjustment videos at all to begin. We actually started just doing like little graphics and like informational blips and stuff like that.
Yep.
And then on TikTok, I was doing stretching videos with like music overlaid. People have had that go viral, but it was taking up a lot of my time. I was spending like 2 hours on 2 or 3 videos.
Yeah.
And at that time, I did have the time to give away, right?
Yeah.
This is like back when I was first talking to you, and I was like, I don't have money for SEO. I don't have any cash flow. I'm like just barely making ends meet right now. So I was sitting on TikTok just making videos. You know, I obsessed over the business for sure. And I think people don't understand how much you really have to put in to get the business off the ground and to keep it going. But I obsessed every second of every day. Like, don't get me wrong. I was waking up constantly thinking, what can I do to get one more patient in the door? Yeah. I was going to local business. I was doing everything. And this was just another part of that. This just happened to be what's kind of really helped get things going the most. So we were doing these graphics. We were doing like the stretching videos and stuff. And I was doing all that on TikTok on my own. And I was like, you know, we all talked about it. And we were like, let's do some of like the adjustment videos and see how it goes. So I reached out to a couple girls that I knew from high school that still lived in Tennessee. And they travel. They're kind of like influencers that travel. And I was like, if you guys are in St. Louis, let me know. Like, I'd love to use you for my social media, for my business. And they're like, free adjustment? Okay, I'm in. And from that moment on, I'm like, this is what I need to be doing. And so they come in. I post the first one. Her name was Ruby. And it gets like 300, or I'm sorry, it got way more than that. I think it got over like 1,000 likes. And I'm like, okay, I post a graphic and it gets 3 likes.
Yeah.
I post this adjustment video, over 1,000. Way more people seeing this content. Game changer. It's a waste of time if I'm just posting something and nobody's seeing it. Yeah. I'm wasting my time. You have to figure out, how am I going to get this in front of real numbers, in front of real people? And you just have to tinker with that until you figure out your niche and what's going to work. Yeah. I'm lucky. Chiropractic's really, really viral content. So it's a little bit easier, but you still have to figure out how to make it work. So that really got the gears turning. We started cranking up the content. And then I pretty much decided we're just going to go all in on the adjustment videos for now. And we're just going to grow this thing. My original TikTok, I'd been posting the stretches and stuff on. I ended up getting locked out of it. And I don't know exactly what happened, but I like messed up my password or something. And so I ended up having to start from scratch. It was the best thing that ever happened. Because then when I started posting on this new TikTok, all of a sudden I started getting traction within like a week. It got picked up in the algorithm. So we went from getting like 1,000, 2,000 views. All of a sudden I had some that got like 10,000. Then I had one that hit like 250,000. And then within the first month, we had one that hit like 1 million. And then I was like, okay, we can really, really leverage this into a growth for the business.
Of course.
And then I'm like, all right, we're going all in on this. Like, we're going to reinvest all the money that I have into getting this going. So I ended up deciding switching to another filmer and editor named Maddie, who I still work with today. And again, we're like peanut butter and jelly. You know, we go together. And she's been killing it and doing everything that I asked her to do. And we've just gelled. And so now we're posting every single day.
Yep.
And we posted across all platforms. TikTok's our biggest, as you mentioned, but YouTube has recently been growing a lot for us. YouTube Shorts is like the next big thing.
Yeah.
It's huge. And it's going to be that we just started the YouTube partner program for Shorts, which started this month in February. And so now you can get paid for those Shorts.
Yep.
So if you're pushing out content, you're getting paid for that content. And then you can reinvest that and create more content. And I'm telling you, it's all a game. This is all a big game.
Yep.
And it's just money. Like just throw that money around and
flowing it back and forth.
Exactly. And
That's
just
awesome.
keep it going. And so that's kind of what our game plan has been. And we just keep posting videos, and I'm constantly thinking of how can we make it better? What can we change? Who do we need to bring in? What if we what type of hook do we need at the beginning of the video? You know, how good is our audio? Does our audio suck? What needs to change?
Yeah.
And just keep posting and, you know, hope that those videos keep popping off. But yeah, we've been posting on all platforms, and you know, I'm passionate about it. As you can tell, I'm really passionate about it. And
Rightfully
just because I've worked really hard.
Oh yeah.
And it's really, really, really satisfying to see some type of payoff from all the hard work that you've put in.
Oh yeah.
And I'm sure it's the same way for you.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I appreciate you sharing that story, because I think, you know, everybody thinks, oh, hey, someone went viral and it blew up their business. They just had one video. It's like, no, you just walked us through the culmination of everything that it took in order for you to get there, split testing, getting locked out of a TikTok account, like all the things that most people would give up on, right? They would be like, hey, I produced a bunch of videos. It's not working. I don't know what's going on. But you were thinking outside of the box the whole time. So would love to hear, though, just throughout this entire journey of, you know, kind of going in, starting your business, starting in you know, working in a little space, to your own building, to all these other different things. What is the biggest lesson that you've learned about entrepreneurship in general thus far?
I think lessons learned from everyone around me. Again, kind of going back to what I mentioned earlier, is I keep my ears open and I listen to people that are way smarter than me. And those aren't just people that I know, but books that I read. And I listen to a ton of podcasts and Audible books. And I mean, people like you. You know, I'm not afraid to sit here and say that I admire people around me and really respect and listen to what they have to say and then implement that into my own business. I don't have all the answers. I'm not the best chiropractor. I'm not the smartest chiropractor. I'm not the best adjuster. I'm not the best rehab guy. And I'm not the best TikToker either.
Yeah.
But I really have a drive to improve a little bit each day. And again, I think we were talking before the podcast about fitness, and I've always been interested in fitness, and that's a thing that's grown over time too. And it ties back to that is I've built a life around fitness and doing like I don't know if you'd call it a culture, but like a daily grind of that. And then it literally doing the same thing with my business is like, you're not going to become a bodybuilder overnight. Your business isn't going to be multi-million dollars overnight either. You have to just put in the work every single day and know that eventually you're going to get there. And you have to feed yourself knowledge, or you have to go work out. So, you know, you got to go listen to other people and hear what they had to say and say, like, I never thought about that. That's genius. And then put your own spin on it later after you figure it out. But, you know, you can't do it on your own. Nobody can do it on their own. Anybody that says they can is not being honest. Yeah.
No, I mean, I think it's something that most people think of. They're like, of course, I don't know everything. Of course, I need to listen to other people. But it takes a special person to actually put that into action, to not only be able to dissect information from podcast books, from listening to other people, and then, as you mentioned, putting your own twist on it. Everybody thinks there's a magic pill. Everybody thinks that there's an overnight success and, hey, I just need to go reproduce what somebody else is doing. Sure, but you need to also find what works for you. Like we were talking about 75 Hard, talking about fitness, talking about all these different things. Like you can try to mimic what somebody else is doing in business, in fitness, in health, but until it's your own thing and it is literally the driving force behind what you do, you're never going to have it as your thing. And you're always going to be trying to recreate the process. So I really, really like what you mentioned there. Kind of as we bring this episode full circle, I know you obviously are thinking about the future. I know,
Absolutely.
I know it because I can see it. And I know you have a lot of amazing things going on. So what does the future hold for you, the business, all of those amazing things? Would love to kind of see what you have planned for the future.
It's a gift and a curse.
Always.
So I think what I love about myself and hate about myself at the same time is that I can't turn it off sometimes. And I'm constantly thinking of what is next. And then I'm thinking about a million different things that could be next. And the answer is I'll know when it's time to implement something. Right now, I've got a lot of different things. So I was mentioning to you before the podcast, I want to get into long form content is on the social media side for YouTube. We were talking about podcasts. So
Got to start one, man.
well, I'm considering it. And then on the business side of things, you can just do so much in the healthcare space. I really want to broaden the services that I offer. Hot cold therapy. We're talking about, I love to do ice plunges. I know you like it too. I really, really want to get some hot cold therapy going out in West County. I don't think there's much going on. So we'll see when it happens, but a sauna ice plunge combo, something like that. I've got another 1,200 square feet next to me. So I'm thinking about expanding into that type of thing, but I want people to live a healthy lifestyle. And so anything that I do is going to be revolved around that. There is no magic pill in healthcare, especially, and you can't just take something to make all your problems go away. You got to put in hard work. And so I'd love to motivate my patients to get out and exercise. If that's just a daily walk, it's a lot. That is a lot compared to just sitting on the couch.
Most people do,
Right.
Yeah.
So you do that and your life's going to change literally. So, anything that I can bring into the business to help someone be a little bit healthier, that's absolutely what we're going to be doing. Whether it's adding a chiropractic assistant, which will be down the road, adding another chiropractor, of course, all that's on the table when the time comes. We're getting systems in place, all that boring stuff, but that's not very exciting. But anything that we can offer to help optimize your health, optimize your care, and get people motivated to be healthy and exercise. We live in a country right now where most people are obese or overweight, and it's just the facts of it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It is what it is. And we need people to start taking accountability for their health and accept that, you look yourself in the mirror, that's who's responsible for it. No one else is going to do it for you. So we got to get people to get up and exercise. Doesn't have to be a lot, but you got to start somewhere. Your diet, again, same thing. You got to take care of yourself. So that's what I would say. I get really passionate about that too.
Oh yeah, man. No, that's awesome. I'm excited to continue to see you grow and continue to see the business grow. I think there's a ton of opportunities, as you mentioned, to really bring that client experience and bring in multiple facets to help your patients be living a healthier, a happier lifestyle. So I'm excited to see it, man. You have a huge fan in me. I really appreciate you coming.
I love it, man.
Coming on the episode.
I want to say that I really do admire you, and I've been following you. Like when the financial advisor you mentioned put us in contact, I didn't know anything about you. And I didn't know who you were or anything. And I think the first conversation we had, it was just another sales call, right? It didn't mean anything to me. But through your social media, I have gotten to know you, and it works. And it doesn't come across as a sales pitch or like this dude's just trying to get my business. I mean, I really did get to know who you were, and I realized that a lot of our values align. And now working through SEO for, I think, close to a year. I'm not exactly sure where we're at, but I'm starting to reap some of the fruits of it. We're getting more calls saying, hey, I saw you through Google. I'm like, finally, something besides social media. Like, I want that. I want us to have different avenues coming together and diversify our patient base. And so I love it. And, I think just all the stuff you got going on, man. You're traveling, you're doing all this kick-ass stuff. I'm just like, gosh, man, like, there's a lot I could learn from him. So that's why I wanted to get in here and talk to you. And
dude, I appreciate it, man. It's been an amazing episode. We'll put this in the show notes, but where can people find your website, find social media profiles? You don't have to go through all the different handles. We'll put that all in there, but where is the easiest place to find you guys?
Yeah. Well, our handle is Dr. Holden Stanfill on pretty much all social media. And then our website's chiropractor.ellisville.com. So that's pretty much everything that you need to know to find us. Yeah. We're here in St. Louis. Come find us in West County. So
yeah, definitely go. I'm telling you, the videos are amazing, but it is, what he's got going on there is incredible. So we'll put in the address as well to the office. We'll get all that information. Holden, thank you so much for coming on today, man.
Thanks, Adam.
And I want to thank you again to the audience for tuning in to today's podcast. Please be sure to subscribe, download, and share our content. Leaving a 5-star review goes a long way. And thank you again to Half Coast Studios. If you're here in St. Louis and looking to start your podcast, seriously come check out what they have going on. See you all next week. And remember, entrepreneurs aren't born, they are brewed.
I'm an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs aren't born, they're brewed. Thank you for listening to Entrepreneur Podcast with your host, Adam McChesney. Let's